Chapter 20. The avenue of entry into the minds and most important of all, the hearts of humanity lies not so much through logic as through the emotions. The great playing card of the deceptive plan has been the emotion of fear. Subliminal guidance is the first layer of control, then more layers are added to achieve control of whatever focus is desired. The last and most effective leverage of all is fear. Fear is the most creative of thought forms in the negative aspect. Love is the most creative in the positive expression. The reason these are at the top of the scale in the human focus is the rate of the vibration of emotion that accompanies each. The degree in which the human can experience these depends upon the range in which each has experienced them. Thus you can understand the reason for the deliberate proliferation of horror, war, and gangster-type movies. These have been deliberately promoted for the express purpose of increasing the experiencing range of fear. Those films that pass for love experiences usually contain great feelings of remorse and sadness as well as more subtle experiences of fear. The technological societies of the planet have little experience with what true love really is. Fed a diet of sexual-based unfulfilling relationships as love, it is no surprise that family life has reached a disastrous level for so many. Every negative aspect is paraded as the norm. Just as each individual is a human becoming, so also each relationship and family is an entity becoming, formed by the combination focus of the two or more included within it. With no agreed upon ideal purpose and few of the character traits necessary to carry each through the experience, the only answer seems to be the experience of a stream of beginnings and endings. In contrast, those who have had what is called near-death experiences return to their conscious realities with regret for having to return in an overwhelming experience of what they term love. These were experiences of the energies that emanate through the creative focus that maintains and expands this galaxy. It is, when analyzed, if that is even possible, the action of the universal laws to their full extent, attraction, intention, and allowance resulting in the harmony of balance. This focus is supported by an even greater focus of these laws in action. It is the added presence of harmony that seems so intensely pleasant in those brief experiences. It is not difficult for each to be in the experience of the negative situations that are there at every turn in the search for respite from stressful living. One needs only to close the eyes and check the true feelings in the midst of an adventure movie to know these inner feelings are not harmonious. It is the balancing experience of the opposite, the harmonious vibration of creation that brought forth each self-aware conscious entity and maintains each and all through a continuing focus of that same energy, that is overwhelmed by deliberate diversion from it. This is not because this marvelous energy isn't available, it is that the conscious awareness is too cluttered to find the quiet space within to experience it. If it cannot be even slightly experienced, how indeed can it be drawn in, attracted, and focused into expression and a greater experience of it? In order to truly experience it, it must flow through the conscious awareness and be refocused into the rebirth of greater expression. In other words, to know love it must be attracted, encompassed, and expressed outwardly through both acknowledgement and outward transference of it. In this process it is magnified and flows with the creative expression. That is how each comes into being and creates the opportunity to become. The sexual romantic hugging and kissing love that has been programmed as love is not the love that creates and maintains physical galaxies and uncountable beings becoming. Just as the word God conjures up all kinds of negative reactions because of its false and confusing uses and is best avoided, thus the word love has been avoided within these messages. Instead, flow of creative energies, etc., has been substituted. The people who have had near-death experiences return to conscious awareness with a true understanding of the feeling experience that the word love was intended to convey. Brief glimpses of it are experienced. Sometimes, but not always, a mother's first experiences with a new baby. Couples who have shared long lives together reach that level of regard for each other. There are rare appreciative times of nature to name a few. These are intense moments of an emotional, vibratory level that is called enlightenment or ecstasy. These are so strange and unfamiliar to most of the humans on this planet that the few able to attain and maintain it become saints if this state of empowerment becomes known. It is the level at which manifestation of thought is so natural that seemingly impossible feats are accomplished. It is, compared to the norm on this planet, superconsciousness. However, in other human experiences on other planets, it is normal life expression. The point of this discussion is an attempt to explain to a small degree what mankind on this planet is missing out on. What you are experiencing as manifested life, is a poor substitute for what it was intended to be. What is being offered is an opportunity to take advantage of a doorway of grace, an offer of a favor, a special dispensation. Accepting this will allow the opportunity to bridge the gap of lost normal evolvement that should have been accomplished in the time spent in this dead-end experience. This is available to all mankind on this planet, not just those transplanted humans. The effects of intervention and denial of free will choice ripple outward and the sequential results are not known. Even this special privilege may bring effects that are not anticipated, though careful consideration has been given before making this privilege available. If the inhabitants of Earth choose not to accept the opportunity, then it is a moot point. Those that have sat through hours and hours of teaching, preaching within religious institutions may find some of these messages reminiscent of those experiences. These are not meant to be so. These are meant to bring as many considerations as possible before the conscious awareness in order that the focus of thought may be guided through a decision process that will allow for logical conclusions and commitment that will not be regretted. The commitment to the birthing of a new paradigm requires courage and tenacity, for the time of chaos is necessary. As long as that which does not serve this branch of humanity's evolvement remains intact, it is impossible to birth something of total newness. Chaos, order, chaos followed by a new form of order is the flow of creation. It is creation living itself, for creation is aware and is life. Chapter 21. There is a point of personal decision that must be reached by each individual that chooses to become involved in this project. It must be understood that once the commitment is made, it will change the perspective, the way in which the experience of situations and relationships are comprehended. If the commitment is real, it will be as if you are observing from a greater perspective. It will be as if there is a split reality. The daily experience will be the same, yet an observational dimension will seem to be added. The observation mode will be experienced as an ability to understand how various past and present knowledge and experience fit into a fluid puzzle picture. There will be a realization that reality as known has changed. It will be observed that the pieces of the puzzle are not firm and do not come together into a recognizable static picture. Instead, the pieces are of a gelatinous nature and are moving and flowing in constantly changing patterns. In the perception of this process, it is then possible to conceive that certain rigid insertions cause the ebb and flow to be influenced to form rigid dam-like structures restricting the freedom of the natural flow. If maintained within the human individual flow of changing patterns, this brings on the end of the experience, as the life force must continue to express in a free-flowing fashion, or it is withdrawn. This is also true within a larger group concept. When it is possible to encompass this concept of the elementary need to express that is at the very essence of creation, then it can be understood that the halting of this flow of progress and any plan to reverse it causes chaos. Within the mind's eye it is like a flow of multiple artists' colors flowing together and yet staying separate and spreading out. At one place, the colors are moving in a slow swirl and beginning to coagulate and intermingle in a darkening manner that is not consistent. As the watcher observes from the overview position, it is apparent that this coagulated point cannot stop the flow that is moving all around it. The flow will continue to move around it and leave it behind. If the consistency of this coagulated energy can be softened, it can again rejoin the flow. The job of softening and dissolving this dark and coagulated energy is the object and purpose of these messages. If the beliefs of the mass consciousness of this planet can be changed and a new paradigm of experience conceived and accepted, the dark and coagulated energies will dissolve and the expansive flow of creation will be restored. Within the flow of creation, the knowledge that is lived into wisdom moves through stages of what is truth within the vibrational, dimensional realms of experience. As knowledge becomes wisdom, then these conceptual lines of delineation are surpassed and the old concepts are outdated and no longer applicable. As transplanted humanity became aware that something must curb their overstimulated aggressive tendencies, religion was conceptualized. With the genetic balance returned, now it is time for those humans to leave this concept behind and begin to conceptualize the causative factors that brought them into manifested experience. They must conceive on the larger scale what it is that maintains not only their individual focus but also the larger focus of the galactic environment of their life. It is time to return to citizenship on a grander scale. All of this must be bitten off, chewed and digested in a very large bite. Why so quickly? 2 reasons. First, all previous opportunities to do this were refused. Secondly, sometimes the medicine in one large bitter pill is more effective than all the small ones. End chapter 21.